growth. So the topic is Growth Accelerator, 5 strategies to increase your personal and your business growth. The reason why this is important is, these days there are lots of talks about things concerning equality, things concerning fairness, things concerning people being treated in a particular kind of way. And while those things are very valid, you have to get to a point where you understand that the major person that can determine how you will be treated in any situation is yourself. Whether we like it or not, it may not be fair, but human beings generally have a predisposition to treat you in a particular way based on who you are, based on your growth level, and growth in so many ways, based on their perception of who you are at this time. That is how they will treat you. You literally almost have no control over that. What you have control over is your growth process. What you have control over is how far you can go, how much effort you can put into becoming the best version of yourself. And this is very, very important. We are not the same. Keep that at the back of your mind even before we start. We are not the same. We are the same as humans, but generally we are not the same. You're not the same with other people. You're not the same with the person by your side. Why? Because there are some advantages that some people already have. There are some advantages that one person has that the other person does not. So while you're in the same location with someone, while you're in the same environment with someone, you are not the same with the person. So if you have that at the back of your mind, what you should think is, what peculiar things do I need to do as a person based on my own reality for me to grow to the next level? What are the things that are important for me to start doing from now as a person based on what is real to me, based on what is standard to me at this time for me to move to the next level? All right. So you are not the same with people. And the interesting thing is, you literally don't have to do anything to fail. But if you are going to succeed, you have to do something. If it's failure, you don't have to do anything. You can just think about like an examination, right? You can go ahead and go to an exam hall and decide not to write anything, and you will fail successfully. But if you're going to get certain grades, get certain kind of things, you must put in some effort. And that's why this session is going to be one that is really interesting. I'll be showing you exact things you can start doing from now, from today, that can truly increase your personal and your business growth. So if you're live already, I can see some of you have joined in already. Just let me know where you're joining me from. Let me know where I can see Jeremiah, Daniel, I can see Kristen, I can see quite a number of you already live with me. And it's great to have you in this session. This is the first of a series, the Growth Accelerator series, and we'll be talking about things step by step. All right. Now, one thing that's very important to note is the concept of general reality and personal reality. I've spoken about this before. If you're currently wherever you are, right, there's this current drive, or there's this current movement towards higher prices, more difficulty. How many of you have tried buying something now that you bought sometime last year and the price difference is so much? I remember I had checked the price of a camera sometime last year, and I checked it recently, and the price difference has increased almost by 100,000. The price difference has become so much. Why? Because things are getting relatively more difficult. Now, that is a general reality. You can be in a country where things are difficult, where things are hard, where things have become harder for so many people. That is a general reality. But do you know that in the midst of that hardness, in the midst of that difficulty, in the midst of that perceived difficulty in your environment, there are still people that it seems as though things are getting better from? So while things are getting hard generally, it's as if there are some specific people that things seems to be getting easier for. Have you noticed that? That means there can be a general reality, a reality that is general for everybody. But that does not have to be your own reality. It doesn't have to be what is true for you. The fact that something is true for everyone does not mean it has to be true for you in any way. So there's a general reality and then there is a personal reality. You cannot control the general reality. Nobody should deceive you. You can't control the general reality. There's a way that things are going to be. There's what is called dark times. There's what is called really difficult times, perilous times. It's a general reality. But you have some level of control over your own self, over your own personal reality. And that's one way you can control that is by growing consistently, growing predictably, leveraging everything that is around you. And sometimes because we don't realize this, because we think that things will be better, we are kind of laid back. Sometimes we literally cooperate with delay. You cooperate with the nemesis of delay. You decide to just chill, just relax, hoping that probably things will get better over time. It will never happen, trust me. There will never come a time when things will suddenly get better. It won't happen. But things can change when you take up that responsibility. So when you say things like give me time, I remember there's this particular story from the Bible. I use Bible stories a lot sometimes when I'm teaching. There's a particular story about Daniel, right? And what happened was a king dreamt. The king dreamt and he forgot his dream. And he said that all the wise men must come around and someone must tell him both his dream and the interpretation. Like I imagine what type of things that you dream, you forget your dream, and then someone must tell you that dream and the interpretation. And literally nobody was able to do it. And he said he was going to kill all the wise men in the kingdom. And Daniel heard about it and he was like, give me time. Let the king give me time. And when the king gave him time, he went back and did what he knows how to do to get that solution. Anytime you say give me time, anytime you tell someone that, or you say things like give me time, you say things like it's just a matter of time. When you say things like that, you must be going backwards to do something. If you're asking for time, your time must be tied to an action. When you say give me time, you're asking for time so you can do something that can produce a result. It is those things that you do that propel growth. Growth can never happen automatically. You can never ever grow automatically. The only thing that grows automatically is your age. That is the only thing. If you want consistent, deliberate growth, there are certain things that you have to do. And I'll be starting really quickly because of time. I want to be sure we'll finish within give or take 45 minutes to 1 hour. Now, the first important thing that you need to do if you're truly ready for growth, the first important thing you need to do is to set a definite goal. You can write it down in the comment box. You need to set a definite goal. See, it's so funny how people think that goal setting is either outdated or it's no more in vogue or something of that nature. Because and one thing that causes this is maybe you set goals over and over and over again and it did not work out, right? Probably you've set a goal. I've been there before. So you set a goal and it didn't happen at that time. You said, oh, before this day, before this time, you get this thing done, and it did not happen. So when that type of situation occurs over once, twice, thrice, you get tired. You be like, oh, what's the need of setting a goal anymore when it still won't happen? That is a lie. That is a full-time lie. Do not get to a point where you are living a life without something you are pursuing, something that you have as a mark. You see people that say, oh, goal setting is rubbish, goal setting doesn't make sense. And these guys would resume a job and they will literally give you a job description, which are like goals you're supposed to achieve. Literally every organization that you admire, every corporate body, every influential organization that you admire, every single one of them have goals. They have exact goals that they're trying to achieve per time. Every unit has a goal. If something would work, it would work because it is defined. You cannot work just on assumptions. No, it can't happen. So you need to have a defined goal. And these goals are in several parts. It's not just one goal, it's a goal in several parts of your life. Some things that are very important. You need to set a goal for your skill, for example. If you have a skill, if you have a role, what is your goal to grow that? Your career, your skill, what is your goal to grow that? You need to set a goal for education. What's your goal to become more educated, either through corporate means, either through online courses? What is your goal to grow your education? What's your goal for relationships? The people that you have around you. If something will work ever, it will work because you've defined it. Do not enter into the trap of living life day to day without anything you're trying to achieve. So what goal do you have? As I'm saying these things, start to think about the things that you're missing. Is it that at the moment you don't have a goal? Are you able to clearly say, this is my goal? What type of growth do you want to achieve without goal? It's almost impossible. How do you want to grow when there is no way to say that you have grown? Your goal must be very defined. You want to grow your finances. Define it. What do you want to have as a financial goal? Is it ₦1,000,000? Is it $1,000? Is it $2,000? What is your goal? Make it very, very defined. At every point in time, and this is something I say to those that are very close to me, I tell them that at every point in time, you must be trying to be the best at something. There should never be a time in your life where you don't want to be the best at anything. That thing can change. Your goals can be modified. But at every point in time, there must be something you're trying to be the best at every point in time. And when it comes to goal setting, there are some things that there's this part of the Bible that says something about which of you intending to build a tower will not first sit down and count the cost. That's like the planning part of goal setting. So the tower is the goal. You want to build. You want to build something. You want to grow. You want to get to a point where you've built something. You must first sit down. You must first define that, oh, I want to build a house. I want to build a tower. I want to become a digital marketer or a software developer, or I want to work with the United Nations, or I want to earn this particular figure. You have decided what you want. Then you sit down and say, what will it take? That is the cost. What will it take for you to do this? Do you need to learn a new skill? Do you need to attend a new class? Do you need to get a particular degree? What will it take? See, this is how you grow. You don't grow just like that. This is what you want. What will it take to achieve that? Very important. And there's something I will tell you that will literally change your goal setting. There's something I'll tell you now that will literally change your goal setting. I call it the principle of oneness. And this is where most people miss it. I call it the principle of oneness. Oneness is a force that allows you to move very, very fast. There's this story about the Tower of Babel in the Bible, right? And they were like, okay, everybody had the same language, and they said, let's come together and build a tower whose top would reach the heavens, so we can make a name for ourselves. And God was like, this thing that these people are proposed to do, they will definitely get to do it because they've imagined to do it. There's a oneness. Oneness has a very great force to achieving your goals. And by oneness, there are three things that must be one if you want to achieve your goals: your thoughts, your words, and your actions. I'll talk about actions later. But these three things must be one if you want to achieve a goal: your thoughts, your words, and your actions. We have so many people that are saying, oh, I want to do this, I want to become this. But when you're talking, your words are the opposite of the things you want to achieve. Why do you think they say, let the poor say I am rich? Was the Bible encouraging you to lie? Why would the weak say I am strong? Have you thought about it? Your words must align to that goal that you have. Your thoughts, you can't go through an entire day and you're not thinking at all about a goal. It's no more a goal. Your words must align. Your thoughts must align. Your actions must align. If these three things come together, then your goal setting is complete. So you're directing your thoughts towards that goal. The way you speak, the things you say, you're not speaking negative. You're not saying, oh, I am poor, I am this, I am that. Things that talk down on yourself. You're not doing that. You're intentional about making sure that your speakings are aligned with the goal you want to achieve. That is the exact way. That's the principle of oneness. If any of these things are misaligned, what happens is that your thoughts may be fighting against the actions you're taking. Your words may be fighting against the results that you can have. Why? Because you have not gotten to that point where you have that oneness between your words, oneness between your thoughts, and between your actions. Goal setting. This is the first point. This is the first thing that you need to do if you want to grow. So I'm expecting that after this session, you sit down with yourself and say that, okay, I want to grow in this area. I want to grow in my finances. I want to grow in my career. I want to become this. I want to have this. I want to do this. What exact goal am I setting for myself for the next 3 months? What goal am I setting? That's the first thing. Now, the second thing is what I call key performance indicators. So someone can write that down for me in the comments. Key performance indicators. It's a business term, but I will get to explain it in a way that will make sense for your personal and business goals. Key performance indicators. Your key performance indicators are simply, how do you measure your progress towards your goal? That's what your KPIs are. How do you measure progress towards your goal? Many of you have gone ahead to set goals, gone ahead to have goals that you've set, very great goals, right? And you've even gone ahead to plan. But how do you say that? What happens? What are the things that must happen for you to know that you're making progress towards your goal? If, for example, your goal is to make $1 million in 3 months, for example, what are the things that need to happen for you to know that you're making progress? Are there landmarks? What would you say happens for you to make 200,000 naira, for example, which is a step towards that goal? If your goal is $1,000, $2,000, what are the landmarks for you? What are your key performance indicators? This works both in business and your personal life. If your goal is to become a product manager, is to become a software developer, what are your goals? What are your KPIs? When are you supposed to learn your HTML, your CSS, your JavaScript, your React? When are you supposed to learn each of these things? How do you know you're making progress? That is your KPI. So you have to set your KPIs. What are the things that takes you closer to your goal? And how do you measure that you're making that progress? This is a strategy for growth. See, if you want to grow and you have KPIs propel that growth. It moves you forward. They're like measurements. You cannot adjust what you're not measuring. You don't know what progress you've made. Are you supposed to do something daily? Have you done it today? Do you have trackers? This is how you move. KPIs, super, super important. And I'm moving forward because I want to make sure that I spend some time on some certain areas. Now, the third thing I'll share is what I call specific knowledge. Seek specific knowledge. You can write that down. Seek specific knowledge. One thing that happens a lot, and I'll explain this a bit. One thing that happens a lot is there are lots of people doing interruption marketing. We have very excellent copywriters right now all over the world. So people are able to write amazing, fantastic copy. In fact, if you read a particular kind of copy, even if you don't want to buy that item, it's as if you just bring out your money and buy it. Maybe I've read that type of copy before. You read a copy and a particular text, an advert, and it's as if you're the one they're talking to. You should, if you don't buy this thing right now in the next 5 minutes, the offer will be off and things like that. And what happens? You're propelled to want to take an action to buy. That can only happen when you are at a point where you are not even sure what you're looking for. You have to seek specific knowledge. You won't grow with just generalized information. You can't. And how do you seek specific knowledge? The first step is to identify your gaps. Your gaps is, what is the difference between where you are right now and where you need to be? That is your gap. What's the difference between where you are right now and where you need to be? You have to identify what those gaps are. For example, let me give you a very practical example. If you're in business and you find out that, oh, you're making sales, or people are coming in, they're buying, but you're not sure how money moves in your business. You know those situations where you know that you made, oh, I made 100,000 naira this month, but I don't even know where the money went to. Has anybody been in that type of situation? You made money, but you have no idea what happened to it. Now, that is a financial management problem. At that point in time, if that's a problem you've identified, you should not be looking for things. Don't look for knowledge that is outside of that. If you've identified a gap, seek for knowledge that solves that gap. That is growth. If you want to be let me use practical examples, right? If you want to, for example, work somewhere like in the United Nations, you want to work with an international non-governmental organization or non-profit, right? You have to look for applications, check what their job openings are like. What are they looking for? What requirements? What are their job requirements? If your goal is to get a job, what are the job requirements? For a digital marketer, what are the job requirements? For a product manager, what are the job requirements? For the role you're looking for, what are the requirements? What are companies looking for? Make a list of those requirements, and those are the things you need to focus on learning. Those are your gaps. You can only seek specific knowledge when you identify your gap. Your gaps are the things that are missing between where you are and where you need to be. What do you need to know to become that person? When a doctor enters into medical school, for example, you start from 100 level to 200 to 300 to 400. At every single level, the only thing you're doing is they are filling your gaps. They are filling the gap, the knowledge gap between when you started and you being a surgeon, you being a doctor. That's what they do every year. So if you want to move ahead, you have to first of all identify what are the gaps you have right now. Do you have a marketing gap? Do you have a content creation gap in your business? In your personal brand, do you have, in your personal life, do you have a discipline gap? Do you have an execution gap? What are the gaps you have, and how can you fill those gaps? That is how you grow. So after you've identified your gap, you have to go ahead and search for how you can learn to fill the gaps that you have. For each of the gaps that you have, there are already things that are prepared. There are already bodies of knowledge. There are already materials online and offline that allows you to fill that gap. See, we are at a time when there is literally an overload of information. And while that is a good thing, it can be very dangerous. We're at a time when information are at the tip of your finger. You can literally just go ahead and type something and you get so much information about it almost immediately. And while that is good, it is dangerous. Why? Because there's that danger of information overload. Information overload comes when you don't even know what you're looking for. You see why the goal is important in the first place. When you're in medical school, you don't have any business going to learn an engineering course. Why? You already have an idea of the gaps you need to fill to become a doctor. You don't need to go ahead and learn something from engineering or the social sciences. No, you don't. And that's what so many people are doing. You just learn anything. Once they can write a very great copy and sell it to you, you go ahead and buy. But you don't need this thing you're buying. So you become so engrossed. I did something about online learning mastery, how to learn online, right? And my major goal was to make sure that you are not just picking up information everywhere. You don't just go ahead and learn. Learn something that fills a gap that you have identified. And there are always gaps. There are always gaps. There are always things that you do not know yet. Maybe you don't know something about marketing. Maybe you don't know something about sales. Maybe you don't know something about generating traffic. Maybe you don't know something about job application, CV writing. It can even be interviews. That can be your gap. You found out that you've been to like 10 interviews, and it's as if every company is dropping at the interview stage. Could it be that there's something you need to learn about interviews? It can be essay writing. It can be writing generally, content creation. What is your gap? That is what you should be learning. You won't grow with half-assed information. This is how people cooperate with delay. You cooperate with delay, and it's so terrible because it's not like you're not learning. You're learning, but the things you're learning are not feeling anything. The things you're learning is not helping you in any way. You need to seek specific knowledge. Seek specific knowledge. All right. So that is the third thing. That's the third thing you need to do if you want to grow. Now, the fourth thing, the fourth strategy for growth, the fourth step that you need to take if you want to move across this journey of growth is what I call disciplined action. And this is quite a tricky part. You know, I talked about action when I was talking about oneness, the principle of oneness, your thoughts, your words, and your actions. Now, when it comes to actions, there are some things that are almost not fair. For example, generally, there's what is called the boiling point of water. All right. Who knows the boiling point of water, right? Just drop it in the comment box, right? So there's the boiling point of water, and you would be so surprised that if water is 1 degree lesser than the boiling point, nothing will happen. It won't boil. It will be hot, but it won't start boiling. It's interesting. Have you thought about it? So you are heating water. The temperature is increasing, it's climbing up. It gets to just 1 degree less than the boiling point. But it has not started boiling. It's hot. Yeah, I can see some comments, 100 degrees Celsius. So it's hot already, but it's not yet at 100. And because it's not yet at 100, it is not boiling. The result, if what you wanted was hot water, is fine. You're good. You're okay. At 90, you're good. But if you want a water that is boiling, it must get to 100. So action is as useful as two things. There are two things that make action useful, two major things, right? The first is intensity, and the second is consistency. When it comes to action, if you want results from action, there are two things that make it useful. The first is intensity. Intensity is how much of that action are you taking? What's the level? What's your degree? What's your aggressiveness? How much of it are you doing? That's intensity. The second one is consistency. How long? How long? So what are the two things that make for disciplined actions? Disciplined actions is two things. First is what? Intensity. You can write it down in the comments. The first is what? Intensity. The second is consistency. As I'm speaking, I don't want you to just get these things and just hear them and say, oh, this is sounding nice. No. Ask yourself, which of these things are you missing in? Is it that you want to become this, or you have this goal, but then you do it just 30 minutes a day? You do it 5-10 minutes a day, and you say you're done. I can't come and kill myself. We live only once, or all those slangs that speak to the weaker side of you. No, you can't grow. You can't grow that way. It's not possible. Intensity is how much. If you've identified an action that will make your goal come true, do it as aggressively as you can possibly do. When you've set your goal, once you identify the actions that will make that goal come true, be as intense as possible in doing it. If you need to do it many times a day, do it. If you need to learn a course, if you need to take a course, right, and you have time, for those of you that have time, there are people that have jobs, that have other commitments, that's fine. But within the time that you have, make sure that you're doing it as intensely as possible. Intensity is how much. Consistency is how long. For some of you, you got intensity right. You were doing something very well. But what happened was, after the first week, you didn't see any results. After the first month, you saw that it's as if this is not working out, and then you left it. While someone else that started with you, that is still doing it till now, is reaping the benefits that could be yours. I keep saying this. I say that do not celebrate what you can become. Do not only celebrate what you can become. Yes, you can celebrate. Yes, you can appreciate. Yes, you can congratulate. But while you're congratulating, ask yourself, can this not be me? Can I not get to a point where I'm able to become this? Is this not possible for me? Are there some things that I'm supposed to do that can take me to be at this level too? Many people that are occupying admirable positions, places, people that you you celebrate and things like that, they were literally at places that were unknown 5 years ago. They were not sure of what could be themselves. But because they continued for a while, they took an action and stayed with it for a period of time, you can see the results now. Intensity and consistency. I wouldn't want to even go into my personal stories. Intensity and consistency. The type of doors that I've been able to open, the types of opportunities that are literally in my corridors because of the way I've stayed with certain things. Learning is important. Action is important. Visibility is important. These are things that help with your goal, right? But how much are you doing it? How long are you doing it for? And when it comes to action, one of your greatest assets for action is time. One of your greatest assets when it comes to action is time. You have to be able to command your focus. You have to command how you're using your time. There's this tool that I use. It's a mobile app. I think it will be useful for most of you. It's called Focus Timer. It has some sort of red icon. I can't really share my screen, right? So it's called Focus Timer, and it allows me to do focused work for 25 minutes. So there's 25 minutes of work, 5 minutes of break, 25 minutes of work, 5 minutes of break. So it keeps you in a focused mode. And while that timer is on, you cannot do any other thing with your phone. So you have to be doing the work you need to do. Time is your greatest asset for action. So for disciplined action, two things: intensity and consistency. Think about it. Think about any of the people you celebrate right now. Think about how long they've been doing what they're doing. Think about how much of it they do. We desire results without trying to see. In fact, make this an activity for yourself. Pick out 2 or 3 people that you love what they have become. You love what they do. You love how they do their things. Pick their names out. For 1 week, study what they do. Study how much they do it. Study the consistency of their work. You would see what you're missing. This session is not a session to just speak. No, it's a session for you to listen and say, what am I missing? Is it intensity I'm missing? Is it consistency I'm missing? What am I missing? What is making me not grow? Without disciplined actions, there will be no growth. Disciplined action is a great requirement for growth. Now, the last point, I'm trying to see if I can keep this within 45 minutes. The last point is environment. Environment. Growth thrives in certain environments. Just the same way that environments can initiate growth or encourage growth, that's the same way that certain environments can literally kill growth. And you know, if you look at the creation story as recorded in the Bible, one thing that is very peculiar is you will notice that God will create an environment before creating what will be in it. So if you go through scriptures, if you go through that creation story, Genesis chapter 1, you see something like God creates water, and then after creating water, he creates the fish. He creates the dry land, and then he says, okay, let the herbs, let the plants spring forth from it. There's always the creation of the environment before the creation of what will thrive in it. Because without an environment, things do not thrive in vacuums. There has to be an environment for something to thrive. Super important. And there are 3 environments you must have. 3 environments you must have if you really want to grow. There are 3 environments you must have. The first environment is what I call the internal environment. It's called mindset. Your internal environment is your mindset. That is the first environment. When you mention environment, people think of maybe relocation, maybe going to a better place. That's a part of it. That's one of the environments. But the first environment that you need to have is the environment that is internal. The internal environment. Because no matter where you relocate to, no matter where you travel to, you will travel with your mind. You can sell your bed, you can sell your table, you can sell your books, you can sell whatever it is you want to sell and relocate. But your mind will relocate with you. That means one of the first environments you need to change, you need to make very beautiful, and an environment that you have almost total control over is the environment of your mind. That is the first environment. If you want to grow, start by taking care of your mindset. And how do you take care of your mindset? How do you take care of the environment of your mind? First, you need to identify what are the gateways to the mind. What are the ways that your mind is shaped? There's what is called being not conformed to the world, but being transformed by the renewal of your mind. The world, see, you have to understand that the world does not have any plan to make you grow. Listen, this world that you're in, the world has no plan to help you grow. When you realize this, you take your growth into your hands. The world does not have any plan whatsoever to help you grow. If you're going to grow, it has to be up to you. That means you cannot be conformed. You cannot decide to go according to the patterns and the workings of the world. But you have to come out of it and transform yourself. And how do you transform yourself? By the renewal of your mind. But let's get a bit practical. How do you renew your mind? You renew your mind by identifying the gateways to your mind and controlling the things that pass through that gateways. The gateways to your mind and the things that pass through. There are three major things that form your mind, your mindset, right? The first one is the things you see. Okay? These are the gateways. Now you can write them down. You can put it down in the chat box. The things you see, the things you hear, and the things you feel. These three things form the way your mind is set up. Your mind is set up by the things you see. What are the things you expose your eyes to? What are the things that you allow your eyes to behold? Because there's a principle of beholding and becoming. So as you behold something repeatedly, you literally become it. What type of things do you watch? If at every opportunity, the only things you see or the only things you watch are just movies, it is difficult to sustain growth that way. There's a place for that. There's a place for, trying to balance out things. But when it comes to growth, you must be sure that your mindset is organized by what you're seeing. You must be seeing the things that help you grow. And a practical step here would be trying to, what I call it, social media audits. Take out tomorrow, as you're scrolling through your Instagram or your Facebook, ask yourself, for every post you see, ask yourself, is this post helping me become better or not? If you continue doing this emotional following, you will keep yourself very stagnant. You spend about an hour on social media a day. So why not make that hour an hour of learning? Why do you have so many people you're following that are not adding anything to you? The things you expose your eyes to. Your social media can be a school. It can be an opportunity for you to learn. If you're auditing your social media to follow the people that are sharing things that benefit you, things that add to you, those are the people that you need to have there. The things you see. Then the things you hear, the type of things that you hear, songs, words from people. Who are the people you listen to? These things shape your mind. The things you hear. Then the last thing is the things you feel. Things you feel, you have to put yourself in positions where you feel in a certain kind of way. That's how your mind is shaped. So your mindset is the first environment you need to take care of if you want to grow. So expose yourself to certain kind of books. There are some amazing books. There is a book called Atomic Habits, right? Atomic Habits allows you to go ahead and form habits that are superior for yourself. There are books that help you in certain areas. Expose yourself. Have dedicated time to read, to listen to some kind of podcast, to some type of, to be in some kind of environment when it comes to your mind. Now, the second environment is the environment of people, association, people. That's your second environment. It's immediate, it's around you. Right? So I've talked about the mind, which is your internal environment. Now, people. Who are the people that you have in your circle? And when we talk about this thing called circle, sometimes it's a bit counterintuitive in the sense that you're not really sure. You're like, oh, how do I get the right people to my circle? The first thing you can do if you want the right people to be in your circle is to become the kind of person that you want to attract. This is a live session, for example. How many people in your environment, how many people in your circle know about this session? You know that this session will help you grow, right? That's why you're here. But how many people did you tell about it? This is not just when I talk about things like it's as if I'm like, oh, share my flyer or to share a program. It's not just that, it's beyond that. It's about you being a source of value for people around you. One way to receive value is to give it. People, your environment, the environment of people. If you are in an environment of people that there's literally no drive, there's no push, nobody's pushing you, nobody's saying you can become this, you can grow in this, it's difficult to move. Trust me, it is. It's difficult to go so far alone. Why? Because it is super lonely at the top. The farther you go, the more you need like minds to come together and say, this can be done. This can be done. You can do this. You can go ahead and achieve this. Oh, why are you not doing this? Why are you doing this way? Association, the people in your circle. This is the second environment. This environment that helps you literally become anything. Is an environment that helps you grow, keeps you down. One of the reasons why some of you are still at the level you are right now is because you are so emotionally attached to people that are not helping you right now. There are things that people say that, oh, you don't know tomorrow, you don't know who this people will be. That is fine. They too don't know who you will be. That's all right. If they become great tomorrow, that is okay. At this stage of your growth, at this stage of your life, if there are people that are not serving or are not supporting, at least if they are not supporting, they should not deteriorate your growth. If there are people that are not supporting your growth, it is okay to let them go. You're not cutting them off. You're just reducing. Remember I said your most precious asset for action is time. You're just reducing time. The number of time you spend having conversations that are baseless, conversations that do not help you in any way. I was telling a friend recently that most of the times I get to watch highlights of football if I want to have certain types of conversation in certain place. Why? Because literally all the things that happen in the 90 minutes is the things that happen in the highlights that they will talk about. So I can literally watch highlights and have a full conversation about football. Why? Because what you want to say happened in the highlights. So why will I spend 90 minutes if I can spend 5? Why? Because of my time. And this is, I don't even watch highlights anymore. There are other things to do with my time, right? But that's how you can think. How can you optimize your time in the best possible way? Who are the people you talk to? What type of conversations do you have? That is where growth happens. Growth happens in those conversations because those conversations shape your mind unknowingly. And that's the dangerous part. You know, if there's something that happens that the effect is immediate, if for example, there's a pen, for example, right? If this pen falls to the ground, I don't use my phone, but if I don't use an example with my phone falling to the ground, my words are powerful, okay? So if this pen falls to the ground and breaks, right? That reaction, that result is immediate. So I can say something happened. I can say that something happened. But if there is a gradual bending that is happening on this pen, but it hasn't broken yet, I can still be saying, oh, it's fine. It's still writing. Oh, after all, it's still writing. After all, it's still working until it breaks. That's the bad thing about the mindset, right? Because it's not an immediate result. You're not seeing an immediate result of your negligence. You're not seeing the immediate result of allowing people that do not add to you to be in your circle. But your mindset is being formed in that way. Are you not noticing that you're beginning to do some things that you thought you would never do? Are you not noticing that it's as if you're living a life that is alien to what you were used to? Why? Because you've decided to shift away and enter into certain environments that do not serve your purpose. The people environment, the association environment. And you can start fixing that. What's the simplest way to fix that? I didn't say go and carry scissors and cut everybody off. No. I said limit time. Limit the time you spend with those that don't add to you. Now, the last environment and the one that is the most popular is places. That's the physical environment, the general environment. If you have the means, if you have what it takes, move to a place that supports your growth. It can just be as simple as a place with better lights. It can be as simple as a place with faster access to the internet. It can be as simple as a place with easier access to some certain amenities that you need for your growth. Access to hubs, for example, if you're a tech person, easier access to some certain places. It can be as simple as that. But if you have the means, as fast as possible, move to an environment, a physical a general environment that supports your growth. That is the last environment, places. So these things come together and help you in such a way that you literally start seeing changes in as little as 3 months. First of all, you have a goal. Then you have key performance indicators, ways that you can track your progress. Then you are able to seek for specific knowledge. You're able to go towards seeking what knowledge you need, all right, to move forward. And you're taking disciplined action. You're intense, you're consistent with the actions you're taking over a period of time. And you're also in the right environment, the environment of your mind, the environment of the people around you, the environment of the places you're in. These things come together to facilitate your growth. But there's something I always say in literally all my sessions, and is the fact that growth is costly. There's the cost of growth. Growth will cost you, trust me. I'm someone that has literally grown from level to level to level ridiculously. Sometimes I think back and I'm surprised how far things have changed. But there's something that is important to note. Growth will cost you, but not growing will cost you more. Growth will cost you, but not growing will cost you more. There are people that during the pandemic in 2020, they had so much time on their hands. They finished literally all the series on Netflix, and they started saying Netflix is boring. Netflix is not boring. You finished all their series. So much time. And that was all you were able to do. Now, the cost of that growth. Do you know that in 2020, there are so many organizations that gave access to courses for free? It was in 2020 that I got access to the Harvard Business School online class. I got access to it. Why? They made it open for free. There was a scholarship. If I want to get access to that same thing right now, it's $1,300. I think it's even more now. So many things were given for free. Udacity was giving courses for free. Coursera was giving courses for free. Why? Pandemic. And while those free courses were going on, many people were renewing their Netflix subscription. Now, to get those same things is costlier. There are some things you'd have bought back then. To get them now is costlier. Don't think it to be easier. Don't think that, oh, it has become costly, let me just leave it. If you don't get it now, trust me, 2 years from now, it will be even costlier. Growth does not just cost you money, it costs you time, it costs you energy. It will be harder for you to do some certain things in the future than if you had done it now. Growth will cost you, but not growing will cost you more. So you have to decide, have a personal decision. Don't wait for any external motivation. Have a personal decision to grow. Have a personal decision to move from where you are. So much depends on it. We have people that are literally at the same spot for so long, not because they can't move forward, but because you don't even know you're at the same spot. You don't have something you're chasing after, so you don't know you're at the same spot. You don't know that you're not moving forward. What are those goals? What are those things that wake you up? Those things that you are aiming towards that you need to do? Who do you need to become? What do you need to have? This is how you grow. But you have to invest. You have to invest your time. You have to invest your energy. You have to invest your money. The money part is always the hardest for some people. Growth will cost you time. Growth will cost you energy. Growth will cost you money. But you have to invest it. Why? When you grow, growth gives these things back to you in multiple folds. Trust me, I know about this. I've invested so much personally, but I have seen so much returns that I cannot even begin to talk about. This is how you move. This is how you move from one level to the next. This is how you literally grow. This is how you accelerate your growth, even if you're just starting out. Don't think that it's too late. Don't think that there are already people there. Yes, there are. But every single person that is there, okay, started from somewhere. Go with intensity. Go with consistency. Decide to grow and move it from there. Have you gotten value so far? If you've gotten value so far, just let me know in the chat box. And then you can actually take it. One thing I would like to do, so take a screenshot of this session right now. And then you can share on Instagram, on your stories. You can tag me at FeastSteven. And I'll get to repost most of these things when I get to see it. So you can take a screenshot and tag me at FeastSteven on Instagram. My name is FeastSteven on Instagram. Someone can drop that in the chat box. You can check check that out. Tag me with exactly something that is an action point. Don't just tag me what you learned. Tag me with something you will do. Not just what you learned. You can tag what you learned, that's fine. But I'm more interested in what you will do. Are you going to set a new goal for yourself? Are you going to set new performance indicators? How you're going to measure your growth? Are you going to go ahead and start identifying what gaps you have in knowledge? Are you going to identify what are the things you need to learn? Will you go ahead and identify what actions you need to take? Will you be intense about it? Will you be consistent with it? Are these things you will do? Will you go ahead and start shaping your mind in a particular way? Will you select how you control the gateways to your mind? The things you see, the things you hear, the things you feel. Will you audit the time you spend with the people around you? Would you audit the places that you go to? The environment you find yourself? Would you go ahead and decide to grow? This is the task. This is the task. I really look forward to seeing more of what you do. You can literally send me an email. Most of you got an email. If you're not yet on my email list, you can send me a DM. I'll send you a link for that. You can send me an email and let me know what goals you have. Some of you have already told me about some things you want to grow in the next 3 months, and I'll get to reply those. You can just send me that email or send me a DM on Instagram. I'll send you a link that you can easily access me via email. But I think we're going to come to an end now. I want to be sure that we end this within 45 minutes to an hour, and I think we're within that time. But thank you so much, everyone, for being a part of this. This is a series. So we have a new session next Thursday at 10 p.m. same time. So this is a series. It's called the Growth Accelerator sessions. Every single session has 2 purposes to help you grow your personal life or your business. So set an alarm, set reminders, and be a part of this for the next session. Thank you, everyone, for being a part of this. I can see Lawrence, I can see Bankole, I can see Jeremiah, I can see Sim Jacob, I can see Vest. Hello, Vest. Great to have you here. I can see Emmanuel, I can see Karim, I can see Adlan, Bankole Victor, Esosa, Jeremiah Daniel. Awesome. It's great to have every one of you here. Thank you so much. Please take a screenshot. If you're here, even if I've not called yet, if you're watching the replay, take a screenshot. Tag me on Instagram. Let me know what you learned from the session. Let me know what you'll be doing from this session. I look forward to seeing those tags and seeing those DMs. And we'll get to speak next week, Thursday. Do enjoy the rest of your night.